Hello, good evening, my students. How are you today? Okay, I hope everybody or everyone is well or is in a good condition today so that we will be able to join our lecture today in English prose about discourse and the discourse situation. For the time being, let's start our first discussion by discussing about the discourse situation of literature. As we may know, language is a vehicle of communication whereby one person conveys messages to another for a range of different purposes. For example, informing, ordering, persuading, and reassuring. The way the message is used to achieve such ends may, in ordinary speech situations, be called the rhetoric of discourse. But in a novel or short story, the rhetoric of discourse has a rather different implication. Here, the writer has the goal of informing the reader about a particular fictional world. But also, he needs to achieve a rapport with his readers and identify a viewpoint whereby the contents of the fiction will be interpreted and evaluated in an appropriate way. Some of the problems of achieving the latter aim arise from the fact that a novel or short story is in the written medium. Okay, what I'd like to highlight here about the discourse situation of literature, you have to know about the essential role of language as a vehicle of communication. And it is used in a range of different purposes. For example, informing, ordering, persuading, and reassuring. And also here you have to know or you have to remember about the way the message is used to achieve such ends. May, in ordinary speech situation, be called the rhetoric of discourse. So when you are given the assignment to explain about the rhetoric of discourse, it is about the way the message is used to achieve such ends. And also, in a novel or short story, the rhetoric of discourse has a rather different implication because the language used here is totally different with the language used in daily conversation. And also, in the discourse situation of literature, the writer has the goal of informing the reader about a particular fictional world. Okay, that's the main point that the writer wants to achieve in what we call it creating or writing the fictional word like novel or short story. And then the last one, there are some problems of achieving the letter aim arise from the fact that a novel or short story is in the written medium. So by doing those things, there are some of the problem of achieving the letter aim, especially in writing a novel or short story. Okay, that's or those are the important aspect that you have to know related to the discourse situation of literature. Okay, the second one, we will talk about situational context in which discourse occurs. So here I'd like to show you the figure or the diagram about the situational context in which discourse occurs. As figure 8.1 implies, the production and reception of a spoken message normally take place within a single context of time and space. But clearly, this is not true of a written discourse such as a letter. Further, the addresser and addressee in a discourse situation are normally distinct, but they need not be. If you write a shopping list to remind yourself what to buy, the addresser and addressee are the same. For all published texts, on the other hand, there is usually one addresser but a large number of addressees, the vast majority of whom the writer has never met. Literature is thus a kind of discourse where the writer can assume relatively little about the receiver of his message of the context in which it will be received. Okay, please pay attention with the diagram or the figure given in 8.1. Here we have the situational context in which discourse occurs. We have three important aspects below. Okay, under the situational context in which discourse occurs, the first one is addresser, the second one is the message, and the third one is the addressee. Here, the addresser or the speaker produces the information, by giving or by delivering the message in the information to the addressee. Okay, it is the what we call it the relationship. Okay, the relationship of the situational context in which discourse occurs. Okay, in this situational context in which discourse occurs, there must be three important components. The first one is addresser that produces the information. Okay, in the information there is a message, and the message is continued or is distributed to the addressee. Okay, you have to remember about situational context in which discourse occurs. Next. The third one, we will talk about degree of redundancy of the relative uncertainty of the situational context of the literary message. One result of the relative uncertainty of the situational context of the literary message is its degree of redundancy. In order to make sure that the point is put across, the novelist tends to say the same thing in a number of different ways and at different levels of structure. Conrad Nostromo, for example, is a novel where material interest is portrayed as an influence which isolates people from each other. The silver mine owned by the Englishman Charles Gould helps to subvert his merit and corrupts Nostromo, the hero of the story, thus destroying his position as symbol of the aspirations of his people. Okay, what you have to understand about the degree of redundancy of the relative uncertainty of the situational context of the literary message, that the situational context of the literary message is its degree of redundancy. So here, when you want to make what we call it the result of the relative uncertainty of the situational context, the degree of redundancy is really important. Why? Because in order to make sure that the point is put across here, okay, please come in. The novelist tends to say the same thing in a number of different ways and at different levels of structure. So here, the degree of redundancy is totally or really important used by the novelist because the novelist tends to say the same thing in a number of different ways and at different levels of structure to make sure that the point is put across. So to make the point is put across within the what we call it the novel or short story. So this is the function of the degree of redundancy of the relative uncertainty of the situational context of the literary message. Okay, you have to understand about this one because it is very important in determining what we call the degree of redundancy used by the novelist to make sure that the point in the novel is put across. The Count, to his immense astonishment, recognized Senor the hired merchant from Esmeralda. Nostromo too had recognized him, and they gazed at each other across the body, lying with its naked feet higher than its head in an absurd pretense of sleep, faintness, or death. So here a kind of work, what we call it here is one part of the novel about Nostromo. Okay, you can read and identify the redundancy. Okay, which one is the part or the element of the redundancy used by the novelist to put out the point cross. And then below you can see instead of choosing to represent the Couch and Nostromo's perception together by saying they recognize, Conrad states their realization separately. Then instead of looking at peers, the two men gaze at each other with the body keeping them symbolically apart. Both incident and mode of description combine to embody one of the major themes of the novel. Okay, here you can see that the use of they recognize, it is a kind of the element of the redundancy. They recognize perception, Conrad state their realizations separately. Recognize realization. So here the redundancy or what we call it the repetition is used to put the point across to make what we call it one important aspect to be noun to be what we call it able to give the sense of some important point in novel or short story. So it is the function and the important function or the first important one about this, what we call it redundancy is to put the point across. Okay, like I said earlier, the point about the story, okay, in the novel or short story. Okay, and okay, I think that's all about my explanation in this lecture. And as usual, at the end of the discussion, there will be the exercise section. There are 5 questions that should be answered by all of the students within the lecture. So please read the question carefully and then choose the best answer for every questions or every ones. Okay, time is yours, and don't worry, the material will be sent into our WhatsApp group number to make you easy in choosing the best answer for every number. Okay, please hold a minute. Okay, please check our WhatsApp number to discover the material of our lecture today. And I hope you can answer all of the question as soon as possible. And please do it carefully and answer all of the question correctly. Time is yours. Good luck. Okay, I think the time's over. Number one, what is meant by rhetoric of discourse? Who would like to make the answer? Okay, Indri. Yes, Indri.
It's meant by rhetoric of discourse. The way the message is used to achieve some kind of thing and realistic situation.
Okay. The way the method is used to achieve such end may, in ordinary speech situation, be called the rhetoric of discourse. Okay, it's correct. Number two, does the rhetoric of discourse have a rather different implication in a novel or short story? Number two, yes or no?
Can I?
Yes, please.
But in a novel or short story, the rhetorica of discourse has
Okay, you have to choose between yes or no. Number two.
Yes.
Yes, it does. Okay, yes, it does because
Because
because of you.
the rhetorica of discourse has a rather different implication.
Okay, I think that's the question. You repeat the question in your answer. I need your reason, your logic reason. Does the rhetoric discourse have a rather different implication in a novel or short story? Yes, it does. Why? Because because of you. Because what? Because of what?
Wait, sure.
Because maybe Indri ada, Intan, Amelia, Andini, Januario, do you have any idea? Nuryatinani, Syahida. Okay, Indri. Okay, please answer. Please give the exact answer. Okay, please. Don't hesitate to give your answer. Ananda Intan, Mr. Gede, Januario. Okay, please keep it this question to be your homework from number 2 until number 5 because the time in using the free Zoom meeting is nearly over. So don't forget when you want to submit or upload your assignment or homework, you must use the eCampus application. Okay, so I think that's all for my lecture today. And as usual, I'll send the link of the attendance. Okay, please hold a minute, wait a moment. Okay, please think about the correct answer for every number left or the remnant or the rest. Please do it carefully and correctly. Answer it carefully and correctly. The first link, okay, please check chat column to find out the link. The first link is for the regular ones, the regular student. Meanwhile, the second one is for the executive class. Okay, once again, I'd like to remind all of the students, please submit all of the tasks or the assignment given from the earlier meetings until the last meeting or the next meeting, if we will have what we call it the homework. All of your homework will be filed to check, okay, your participation, and finally it will be used as your what we call it composition, okay, as the element of giving the score of your final result. Well, I think that's all for my lecture today about the discourse and the discourse situation. I hope what I've presented or informed today to all of the students will give all of you the new knowledge and perspectives about understanding discourse and the discourse situation in English prose, especially in the viewpoint of novelists in making what we call it a novel or short story by using the elements of discourse, such as discourse situation of literature, situational context in which discourse occurs, and their elements. Okay, thank you for today's attendance and participation. See you next week. Goodbye.